think the technology that we see nowadays, the products itself are mostly developed into a dead end. Our phones are not changing anymore. It's about the big display. Yes, we have foldable phones, but then it only is about a bigger display.
Sascha, thank you very much for coming. Welcome to the IFA 2023 live podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, and thank you so much for having me.
No worries. So for people who maybe aren't too familiar with your work, can you give us a brief little update of your experience, career? You can go David Copperfield, go back to the day you were born. It's up to you.
Well, I write about technology for almost 25 years. And in between, I also kind of switched sides and moved into the corporate communication. Was a head of digital transformation for Daimler AG, which is now the Mercedes-Benz AG, for 4 years. And during COVID, I thought it's just a good time to quit your job and go back to your roots. So now I'm back again. Here's IFA, there's new tech, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So I would still basically define myself as a tech blogger.
Yeah, and you spent all those years doing. I mean, it's one of those things that if you murder someone, you're always a murderer. If you spend all those years in the trenches of tech blogging,
that's a quite interesting analogy.
As someone in that field myself, I feel I'm okay to say it. One of the things, especially with your 25 years experience, I'm really intrigued to hear your thoughts on innovation and kind of where we are, I guess, first through the lens of consumer technology. So from my perspective, growing up, it seemed we entered this period where there was so much happening. We went from vinyl to CDs to mini discs to MP3s, just using one example. And now we just seem to have kind of stopped. It's streaming. That's everything. It doesn't seem we're moving in a different direction. And is that something that you believe, that you see, that there's like an end point of consumer innovation in the big sense?
Well, in some way, we kind of dematerialize technology, right? Away from the things, the products that we could just carry around with, even though that I still believe that we did a full 360 because vinyl is really now on an upwards trend. But besides that, I think the technology that we see nowadays, the products itself are mostly developed into a dead end. Our phones are not changing anymore. It's about the big display. Yes, we have foldable phones, but then it only is about a bigger display. Our cars still have 4 wheels and a steering wheel, so autonomous driving might be a long road ahead of us. What I find fascinating is to see the transformation in industries where you wouldn't really expect this kind of digital revolution, especially home appliances. I mean, when you look at these fridges and the washing machines nowadays, they look absolutely amazing. It makes me want to, take care of my laundry immediately when you have these proper displays. And there we are again. It's about displays, right?
Yeah, more screen size. That's a future washing machine, just one big screen.
But besides these traditional products, it's kind of hard to be innovative in these days, because people have a specific user scenario for these products, and to kind of enhance this experience is really, really hard to do. But besides all other things that are happening around us, I think we live in the most fascinating time we can imagine. I mean, innovation is really happening at a very fast pace.
And where do you think that innovation is happening now then? You kind of mentioned the move to displays, which I guess, when you hinted of MP3s and the music, that we're maybe digital services is where innovation is occurring. Is that something that you agree with?
If we would have had this talk about 10 years ago, of course we could have talked about large language models, because they've been around for almost decades. I think it was Weizenbaum in the 60s who started the first interpreter with ELIZA, right? Which was kind of mimicking a psychotherapist, a computer. If you would have asked me about this 10 years ago, where we are right now, I would have no chance to make an accurate statement about the status quo of this industry. And if we combine this, what is happening with AI in nowadays, or let's say what is visible in the public, because before that it was just hidden, right? I mean, a department like Google's DeepMind that was founded in like 2012, right? And it only came to the surface when they won against the Go champion at that time. But if you combine, let's take the idea of music again, and maybe you remember this amazing movie with Joaquin Phoenix, Her.
Oh, yeah,
which was all about,
Spike Jonze movie.
I kind of called it ambient computing back in the days. And this might be the next step, the combination of AI, having my personal assistant right in my ear that can tell me whatever, and then I don't need the display anymore. Then it's over. So ambient computing might be the next step, where you just don't know where it's happening, but it's happening around you. You don't need the technology anymore. It's just there. You don't need the processing power because it's all in the cloud, and it basically knows everything.
And would that be just then an uncoupling of us from a single device into more of a unified ecosystem? You have your headphones, your smartwatch, and they're all working in that same sense.
I mean, we're all looking for this next big thing, right? Yeah, since the first iPhone launched in 2007, everyone is talking about what's going to be the next technology. It's going to be the next iPhone. Because, I mean, when we look at the statistics, how many hours a day we spend on our phones, how many hundreds of times we're actually looking at this display, there has been no other technology that was just so immersive for our usage scenario and the way we're interacting with it. And we run anything through this device, right? And then the tablets came up. We thought, okay, a tablet's going to be the next big thing. Then it was about smartwatches. Nothing beating the smartphone in general. But now with AI, I think the potential of creating completely different, let's say, devices that are not so big anymore, and it could be, as I said, a headset like what we had in the Her movie. This could give some completely new dynamics for various new industries. And these are the industries that are working in the back end that you can't see, the ones that are distributing knowledge, that are distributing solutions that you have in mind. In 2012, the former CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, was at the Mobile World Congress for the opening keynote in Barcelona. And he said something very remarkable. He said, "We at Google are working on a technology that we are going to deliver you the search results before you even know that you're going to search for them." And this is where Google is right now. They exactly know our habits. They have all of our history, right? They know what we might going to look for next. And now imagine this with a smart little assistant in your ear, and you're not even thinking about what you're supposed to do next. And it's already going to tell you where the right direction would be.
Kind of like a Minority Report, but for your own searches.
It's a little bit spooky, right?
Yeah.
It is, but it's going to happen.
That you can be effectively as a person algorithmized to such a point that your next steps can be searched and mapped out in an accurate way.
Absolutely. It is spooky. Therefore, I'm also an ambassador for limits, for laws. Here in the EU, the European Union is working on the AI Act already for quite some years. And I just hope they're going to distribute this as soon as possible, because we already screwed it up with social media globally, on a global scale. Now we just can't screw it up with AI. It's no chance.
And if you had to think, beyond that ambient computing style, are there any other technologies you think that are, going to push stuff forward? You mentioned the iPhone coming in. At what stage do you reckon kind of smart glasses are going to hit that? Because surely when you were talking about the amount of attention we spend on your phone, what more attention can you get if, a pair of glasses like the ones you're wearing at the minute are a constant smart display over everything?
I still have the first generation of the Google Glass back home, right? It's like 11 years old, 12 years old. And I used them for a straight year because I wanted to understand what an additional layer of information right in front of my eyes is going to do to me. And especially what's going to do to my surroundings, right? How are people going to react on this? It's a good point, right? There are some really interesting projects out there for smart glasses. For example, like an instant translator. It's absolutely amazing. But this could also be something that you could have right in your ear. So as soon as a smart glass is as big as the glass that I'm wearing right now, I'm all in. As soon as it's maybe possible to get here, artificial eyeball. No, I'm not so sure about this one. Maybe if the surgeon is going to screw that up, you have a problem. But yeah, that's a good point. Besides that, of course, we're going to see a massive innovative cycles when it comes to green technology. Lots of funding is going into these markets and industries. So I'm really looking forward to this because we all need this. It's amazing to see the investments that are happening in this market, especially also with the IRA in the US, right? Lots of fundings are getting into this industry. Same over here in Germany. Actually, Germany overtook China recently for the number 2 spot on for the countries with the most investment into green technology. The US is number 1, which is good to see, as one of the countries with the biggest impact regarding CO2 emissions. So I truly see a lot of innovation happening when it comes to food, for example. I truly believe that during this decade, we just don't need to have non-lab meat anymore on our plates, right? So we just don't need to have this kind of mass animal slaughtering going on anymore because it's all going to come out of labs and lots of improvements of vertical farming, aquaponic, you name it, right? So this is a really, really interesting industry in general. And last but not least, and we talked about this before, the way we use newly processed materials of the future. So my phone has a vegan leather case and it almost feels like leather. When you getting into a new car nowadays, whether they're going to use like roots from some plants and are creating a kind of fox leather or vegan leather version out of it, how we can use plastic that we're going to get out of our oceans to kind of recreate again. So the idea of reusing and recycling and reproduction of materials and sources are really going to help us to, and now, okay, that will be a huge topic to get out of this kind of monetary system that we're in right now in a more of a resource-based society where we need to be just to take care of this planet.
So what you're saying, innovation is still happening and there's lots
absolutely. There are some categories where it's slowed down because you're not going to add additional features that make the whole experience interesting for you. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. But there are new industries where it's really happening and where a lot of money is going into, a lot of startup businesses booming right around them. So I'm still excited about technology and the future.
No, Sascha, thank you so much. That's brilliant. You made me even more hyped about what's to come than I was before. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of IFA 2023.
Oh, I will.